said he's going to. I said I would see you.
Oh, okay. You got more to do.
Ain't doing me no good.
I'll listen to you.
Jared, so
You coming?
yeah, he's supposed to. Yeah. We're going to call September 6th Drainage Board meeting to order. Mr. McConnell's going to lead us in prayer, followed by the pledge.
Father in heaven, we thank you for the freedom and the ability that we have to gather here today as free people to discuss the needs, the desires, and the wants of your people. Please give us the wisdom and the guidance that we need and the courage that we need, Father, to make the right decisions, the best decisions for these your people. Since this is the meeting of the Drainage Board, I guess it's fitting to thank you for the nice dry weather that we have been having. We know that the rains are going to come, and we hope that you will help us to prepare for the rainy times so that we can protect all of the people in this parish, protect their belongings, protect their goods and their homes. As always, we ask you to look after our brothers and sisters in uniform, whether they be here or in faraway lands. Please bring them home to their families safely and soon. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's have to let it be known that Mr. Jared Barger is absent. I think he is supposed to be coming. Number 3, we got the public comment section. Anyone wanting to speak on an agenda item, please sign in. I have some signatures up here. Sign in with the secretary. When that item comes up, we'll let you speak on it. Before we move on to number 4, I need to move number 7 to executive session. That's an item that needs to be, and we're going to move it after new business. And also number 16, I'm going to move.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, question. You want to move item number 7 to an executive session?
Yes.
Mr. Parent, I'd like to ask then our legal advisor, are we kosher in doing this, Mr. Parrington, or do we not have to advertise an executive session? As long as we state the need for it, we're okay with that?
Yes, because it's in litigation.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. We're also going to move number 16 up to behind number 5. She has some people to go see it on these mitigations as soon as she leaves here, so we need to get that moved up. And that's all the movement we have. We're going to move on to number 4, acceptance of minutes of August 14th, 2006.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I've got a motion by Mr. Dempsey Lambert. Second by Mr. Kent Shake Snyder. Any questions? Any objections? So move. We'll move on to number 5, Parish President's report. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to read some prepared remarks, and we'll stop and review some things. Since the August meeting, I have thought a lot about the happenings of that night. To me, this meeting represented the worst since we began public service together. After much reflection since August 14th, I have decided that what we are doing in drainage is not working, and it's time for some changes. Some of you have expressed these same sentiments to me. I've also discussed this matter with many others who are intimately knowledgeable on this subject. To help bring about needed change, I offer the following for your consideration. And I ask that you just take time in the next few weeks to think about some of this, as I have thought about it. And no need to react to it tonight. Hopefully it's going to be something we can all really discuss and work toward an amiable solution. I also ask that you visit with me on these things so we can talk about it. Furthermore, I ask that we put our personal differences aside as we think about these matters. The people of Ascension deserve nothing less than this. One of you stated last month that you hired me and then implied that my performance was unacceptable as drainage administrator. If you want to criticize me, that's fine. I'm an elected official just as you are. However, what you did to the members of the staff and fellow associates is really unacceptable and not to be tolerated. I realize some of you are looking for someone to blame when you get some complaints. However, don't blame those who are out in the heat and dirt trying to help solve the problems. Mr. Rue and his staff may have given the best drainage report since I became your administrator. Outlined many meaningful projects that were either underway or in the process of being started. These specific projects address many of the concerns that you and other citizens had expressed to us. Now let me be perfectly clear in this. You have no supervisory authority over any of these employees. Even though we had been operating under the intergovernmental agreement first signed by President Martinez, Council Chairman Pierce, and EA Consolidated Gravity Drainage District Chairman Marvin Breaux, I do not consider myself hired by you. In fact, under present circumstances, I wouldn't accept the job with this drainage board. And I don't mean that in any personal way. We just got some differences we've got to work on, ladies and gentlemen. The people hired me as their parish president and CEO. And like me, I suspect most didn't even know that drainage was being operated under a special legislative act and not under the authority of our parish charter. If you want me to continue as your administrator, some changes must take place on both parties, all three parties in this agreement. First and foremost, you must follow the agreement that is in place. I've handed out a copy. I'd like to just us to review a little bit together. Some of us may have not taken time to really look at this. It's about 12, 13 years old now. Mr. Salvor is probably the only one that's been here since the beginning of this agreement. And I'm not even sure if Jerry had. Here before Jerry got here. We've tried to, all the whereas, which is typical in these agreements, we get down to the last paragraph on the first page. We've tried to highlight in yellow so you can take this, think about it. Grantors do hereby grant unto the office of the parish president, its heirs, successors, and assigns the exclusive right to administer the maintenance of, operation of, repair of, and provision for the drainage for the parish of Ascension and any and all appurtenances pertaining thereto. And then on page 2, it begins by grantors do hereby grant to the parish, Ascension Parish President the complete right to use servitude rights including, but not limited to, the right to construct, maintain, inspect, operate, repair, alter, remove, and relay the drainage system and ditches and canals using East Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District equipment and appurtenances as may be necessary and convenient for such operations, together with all rights of ingress and egress to and from said drainage systems, ponds, ditches, canals, etc., for the purpose for which the East Ascension Consolidated Drainage District was created, subject to the advice and consent of the East Ascension Consolidated Gravity Drainage District. Grantors do hereby grant to the parish president the exclusive right to operate, maintain, and construct for creation of and maintenance to the drainage system. The parish president shall attend a meeting of the grantor. I have to admit that was a tough meeting to sit through a month ago for 3.5 hours. I know some of you feel the same about that. Now, in order for this agreement to work, you're going to have to let the administration do what we're supposed to do and quit micromanaging drainage. Now, we've made some mistakes, no doubt about it. I hope you realize you may have made some. Now, in addition to what's in this agreement, I propose tonight that you consider over the next few weeks a possible amendment to this agreement. That this agreement be amended adding the executive branch authority contained in our parish charter. I think if you would survey most of our citizens, you would think that the parish president already has that authority, and we do not. Furthermore, I suggest that we create an EA Drainage Advisory Board of non-elected citizens to work with both branches of government. You may recall that the drainage plan designed by Prescott Follett and Associates and approved by the voters in 1984 called for a drainage board with both citizens and some police jurors. For some reason, this is not in place at the present time. I don't know why. Maybe some of you know. Having engineers and other qualified volunteer citizens may help remove some of the bitterness and politics that has plagued us of late. It is worth a try, in my opinion. If these suggestions are not acceptable to the majority of you, then another possibility is the model used in Livingston Parish. And I've had my staff contact all the parishes. Most of the parishes in Louisiana who still have a police jury do not have a drainage board. None of them do. They have a drainage committee, much like your council committees. A few with parish councils, like St. Tammany, have several drainage districts, 6 or more. Some don't have any at all. In Livingston Parish, they have 3 drainage districts, each with their own funding, employees, and equipment. Their parish council appoints these members, but no members of the council sit as members of these boards, nor does the parish president administer their drainage programs. The planning department of parish government coordinates with the appropriate drainage district with new developments or planned within the respective districts. Each district hires their administrator. After having talked with previous drainage board members, including the chairman and vice chairman from many years ago, those who are still alive, who were original members of the first drainage district board, we started out in the city of Gonzales and then progressed to the police jury, as well as members of the charter commission who understood at the time that drainage, as well as the size of the council, may become a problem. And I think it has been for the entire time that our charter has been adopted, talking to President Marchand as well as President Martinez. I am convinced, after talking to these many people, that it's time that we must make some changes. I'm reminded of the old saying, if you keep on doing what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. In order to get something different, change what you're doing. Like I said at the beginning, I am not asking for your answer tonight. However, I will not renew the intergovernmental agreement as presently constituted after this calendar year. January 1st should give all of us ample time to discuss these important matters and to reach the right decision for Ascension Parish. I thank you for your time. I look forward to discussing these matters with you in the weeks ahead. Most of the report as far as actual work of the Drainage Board will be given, Mr. Chairman, by our Public Works Director and his staff, Mr. Root. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any questions for the President? Mr. Savon?
Yeah. Mr. President, would you please forward that letter that you read to the Secretary so she can get all the members of the Drainage Board a copy of it?
Yes, I brought copies, but I just got them off the printer when I was leaving, and I need to correct some typo errors and things.
I just want to read something that I looked up a little bit of history on this also. When the original commission formed in 1948, it stayed that way until 1982. Then it was amended by Act 609 of 1980 to provide the police jury council members who represent that portion of EA drainage district shall constitute the Board of Commissioners. So at that time, it put the police juryman or councilman in control of the Drainage Board on Act 609 in the history of Ascension Parish. We're going to move on to number 6. Mr. Thompson.
Parish President, you mentioned about putting together a 9-member board.
No, sir. I didn't say a number of members. I just said an advisory board.
Advisory board.
To work with us on drainage issues to try.
But in the past, you have said we had too many boards.
Too many governing authority boards with governing authority. Strictly an advisory board. Now, that's just an option. And there's a lot of different models out there. And I ask that all of you look at them. Now, if you agree that what we're doing now is working, Mr. Thompson, well, then just disregard everything I just said. In my opinion, we have opportunities for improvement. And I think we need to look at those opportunities. And if you have a better suggestion.
My suggestion is open up a line of communication. Start communicating with the councilman. Talk to them. Work with them on projects in their areas. That's my suggestion.
And that's what we're trying to do. I appreciate it.
I've been receiving phone calls the last couple of weeks about people talking about reducing the council size. And I know it's a different subject because of the turmoil with the councilman. The school board has 11 members. You don't hear about them. All you hear about Ascension Parish Council. And it's because of lack of respect and communicating with each other. We need to start there. We need to work with each other. That's the only way we're going to accomplish anything.
And that's the spirit of my message tonight.
You know, and we also have some employees that work for us that disrespect us as councilmen.
If you'll get with me in private, Mr. Thompson, Mr.
Situation with Mr. Keller.
Talk to me in private. Be happy to discuss that.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hughes, as you said, what we're doing now, what we inherited is not working. We all inherited this. It has not worked, and I don't think it has worked, not because of any blame on any one particular person or one group of people. No one, when they made this intergovernmental agreement, could foresee the building and the boom and the things that has happened in this parish. What has happened over time, and mostly because of the involvement of major drainage in East Ascension, was that when in the 90s the parish got shut down from their main task of digging major drainage ditches in the parish, it evolved and got into and intertwined into the inner workings of regular parish government, DPW, to where there is no distinguishing between major drainage, which was as it was supposed to be, as it was thought of, and parish government and DPW. Because they could no longer dig major drainage ditches and canals and everything else that it was appointed to do, they started doing other things. And they started doing roadside ditches and bridges and this and that and all these little things in order to keep busy. And now we've gotten back, we're trying to go back to what we had. That's why we're discussing possible changes and things that don't work. That's why we're looking to do major projects. That's why we're looking to look into hiring a drainage administrator that's going to administrate our monies for major drainage in this parish in that area and worry just about that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, working with the parish government, working with, if we have to change the intergovernmental agreement to make it work, that's fine. We're not stipulating anything. We're not micromanaging. We have not done anything specific except to say that we want to move our monies into a major area right now. Other than that, the day-to-day activities are strictly done by administration and DPW.
You might want to talk to me in private on that.
Well, we will. And what I'm getting at, we're trying to evolve into back what the Drainage Board was supposed to do. And we have two different hats. And come on the night that we have this meeting, I'm an East Ascension Drainage Board member. And I'm looking out for the monies of this Drainage Board. And if it means taking monies away from day-to-day operation of DPW and directing it to major drainage, that's what I'm guys to do. And when it comes to council time, then we worry about council meetings. So yes, the people, this drainage board is in charge of that. And everybody that comes under the drainage umbrella comes under this drainage board. And we give the overall viewpoint of that, and the overall administration is done through the administrators. Right now, we have so many projects that are done. You look at DPW, and our DPW director is in charge of all this new construction of all the roads we have, all the ditches, all the planning, all the zoning, all the major drainage and minor drainage we have in this parish. It's a tremendous job, and he does a tremendous job. But there is no way that that person can administer 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, major drainage board monies in the areas that they need to be at this point in time. We have a budget, we have dedicated monies from this major drainage in East Ascension Parish, and drainage is a major thing here. And all we're saying is, to some kind of way, we have to designate somebody that's going to be in charge of those monies and looking out for those monies in our best interest, in the people of Ascension Parish best interest, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then working through DPW and everybody else that needs to, in whatever kind of agreement we need to come up with. But this is so important, and the monies are dedicated to that point, that we need to make sure that these monies are spent as they are dedicated. That's what we're concerned about.
And that's what we're concerned about.
And so,
if you need to separate it, Kent, it's certainly something we need to look at. I think that's what I just said, because right now you got, for example, part of a piece of equipment owned by parish government, part of a piece of equipment owned by drainage. You got a person that may be paid from 2 or 3 different funds. So it's really difficult to administer it because of those kind of issues. And so,
but those things are not put upon by us.
No,
we have not directed administration. In fact, we strongly objected to it last year when the budget came up as to intermingling these things. We strongly objected to it, and administration suggested that over our objections that we work into sharing these things as a more efficient way, and we acquiesced to that.
We've been doing that for years, as I understand.
That's fine. And as you said, it hadn't been working. And so we wished to take a look at and make some suggestions as how we should change and make things better. And make sure what our task is to make sure our drainage monies are spent on major drainage in the proper areas. That's it. Now, whatever else happens within DPW and everything else, then that has to happen. And we want it to happen where it happens for the best of the citizens. But we have to look out for our major drainage monies. And we have some great people working there. They do a great job. They have been cut back over the years, and we have had added responsibilities, and we've had added projects to do. And with so much development, we have so much more to do. We probably have twice as much to do now as we had 3 years ago. And we have less workers to do it with. Now, we did not make the choice to have less workers. Okay? So that's all administration. And so I think we really need to take a look. We formed a committee now. We would be glad to sit down with administration and look at suggestions. One of my suggestions tonight is to make sure we sit down with Mr. Rue and take his suggestions as how we can go forward and make this a more efficient thing and yet protect the monies for the drainage district. I also had a very long discussion with Mr. Curio in Lafourche Parish, who is the administrator of their levy district in Lafourche Parish. Very, very similar situation. They have a levy district. He's administrator of. It's an $8 million budget. They're in control of all the levees, the canals that go to the levees, the pumping station, the pumps, and everything. They take care of that and maintain that. And a very good discussion. I'll share it with everyone when we get a chance. And you know, they do so with 10 members. Now, he does have an option to have more people working for him. And so there's different ways of doing things, and they've been very successful. But he works at it 24/7, and they've been very successful in securing extra monies for drainage, and they do a very good job there. And I want to make sure everybody knows our guys and girls in the departments are doing an unbelievable job with what they have to do. But it's just too intermingled. We have to do a better job of defining exactly what the responsibilities of major drainage is, and exactly what the responsibility of road and bridge, minor drainage, and so on. And that's too intermingled. And so that I would like to have a meeting with our committee to sit down, and the very first thing is to define exactly what major drainage is going to be working on, and exactly what they're going to be doing, and those monies only spent in those areas. And I think once we get there, you're going to see a more efficient spending of money and work put out. And then if we need to hire more crews to get work, that's fine. They'll be able to do that with monies available. If it means for a short period of time that we have to contract things out to get some immediate work done, they have the option of doing that. But we need to, as you said, we need to take a look at it, because what has been done has not worked. And that's why we brought up these things. It is not something to put down anyone or anything like that, but quite frankly, it's just the way the system has evolved is unacceptable as it is, and we're trying to change it.
And we're trying to do the same thing.
So that's where we are.
Mr. Valentine, then Mr. Barger.
Yeah. Mr. Hughes, what I would like, and you made the statement, I'd like for you to get us a list of where we are micromanaging. Certainly I have not micromanaged anybody. We have made some suggestions, like Mr. Shakespeare has said, but I'm not sure if there are other councilmen micromanaging, and you need to take it up with them. But to make that blanket statement that we're micromanaging, I don't think that's the case. Why some councilmen will get irritated is real easy. I'm looking at a list right here. I got 2 emergency priority ones sitting here. One's dated 8/3/05. That's a year and a month old. I got another one dated January 5th of 06. I got a street listed here under normal priority, Rosetta Street in Dutchtown Acres, which has been a problem ever since I've been a councilman, and it is dated February 21st, 05. It's to cut a swell. It hadn't been done. And I don't know if everybody else is like me. Maybe I'm the only one that's getting put off behind the 8 ball. But I got a list right here that I get handed at every meeting at the drainage board, and meeting after meeting, it's the same one, and not a one of them getting done. Not a one. So, I think your first budget, if I remember right, I could be wrong, correct me if I am, the first year you worked under the past administration budget, your first year budget, you suggested to this, to the council when you passed the budget, to take $500,000 from road and bridge and move it into the drainage. Is that right? Isn't that what we did?
I don't remember, Mr. Valentine.
We moved $500,000, and we moved people, which all started coming out of drainage. And they lost 6-5. I was voted against it because I didn't think we should. But it passed, and that measure passed. We tried to change that. So that's $500,000 taken out of road and bridge, put into drainage. It looks good on the surface, but what we did, we moved employees and machinery and everything else that continues to take my drainage. That's an administrative move. That's what you did. So I'm willing to sit down and meet. I'm not crazy about, I'll work. You got it full time. I'll be glad to set aside an hour with my work for you to come out there and meet with me. I don't have the time really to leave my job to come to you. I work a lot. I think what you need to do is meet with the committee that we got set up. That's what I think you need to do. We had people volunteer for this committee to look into this, and I'm willing to accept the recommendation, or at least hear from what they got to do. And that's my suggestion.
Your comment, Mr. Valentine, on the first year's budget. Remember, that's when taxes were going down significantly, and we had to adjust the budget that we inherited, where we cut operations significantly because of that. Now, since then, obviously, sales taxes have reversed themselves. So There's a lot of things we did initially out of financial prudence that has put us in a very good position today. And so,
Mr. Byerger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple points to the parish president's report. Made mention of a council member being pretty rude to Mr. Rue, and that would be me. And I personally apologize, and now publicly apologize to Mr. Rue. I'm sorry. The second part, Councilman Thompson talked about communication, and part of my frustration in that meeting was communication. Throughout this time, I've been telling constituents that voted for me through District 11 that Black Bayou was going to have some work done to it, and it started. Finally, it started. And I found out in a drainage board meeting that it's not going to be able to continue. And I was very frustrated, and I took it out on Mr. Rue. And again, I'm sorry for that. But communication and a little phone call ahead of time may have curtailed some of that. And you also made mention of the politics of this board. You're not satisfied with it. Well, I disagree with that, Parish President. Here lately, we've only had one board member that throws a fit every meeting. The rest of these guys and lady sit up here pretty much quiet, and I believe Mr. Valentine said one time we have a character assassinator, and it's just one person. It's to me, it's not the politics of this board, it's the politics of the character assassinator. But anyway, that's my comments, and I look forward to working with you because I did volunteer for that committee. Thank you.
yeah, and Mr. Chairman, I guess we need to know who all's on it. We haven't been given that list.
Heather, you should have a list of that committee, right?
I'm on it.
Martin, myself, Cheryl, and Jared.
We have not met yet.
No,
How do
we
you
have
think
not.
so?
We're working on getting with Mr. Rue first. We thought that was.
Let
Do
us
we
know
have-
when
do we
you're
have-
ready, and we'll be happy to
Do
sit
we have a
down.
volunteer on the chairman out of this forum committee?
I'll do it if you want.
Kent?
Be a Martin, it doesn't matter.
I'll do it.
Martin's the chairman.
I'll be glad to do it.
Martin, make sure we get this.
If it was so important, and we set this committee 6 weeks ago, and we've not met yet.
Right.
And I was waiting on the call, and maybe that's wrong of me. Maybe I should have called somebody and said, when are we meeting and what's going on? But I'm ready to meet, and I'm ready to talk about some of this stuff.
Appreciate it, Martin.
And I'd like to say, while I have the microphone, I really appreciate the comments of my friend, Mr. Adrian Thompson, because respect and treating people fairly goes a long way into accomplishing what you want to get done.
Exactly. All right, we're going to move on to number 16. We moved up hazard mitigation grant application and matching funds, Ms. Carla Cormier. Again, we moved up. She has to meet with some residents as soon as she leaves here, so she needed to get this moved up in the agenda.
And I appreciate you doing that. The homeowners that we're meeting with now, there's been some changes in the program. You do know that it's still a 75-25 match. The FEMA puts up 75%. The homeowner generally puts up 25%. In the past, the Drainage Board has put up 10%. This time, they're not. And the LRA has, on August 10th of 2006, adopted a resolution stating that they are willing to reimburse the program, whoever puts up the 25%. They are still developing the policies and procedures of how that's actually going to happen, what procedures they're going to go through, but I have a copy of the resolution that's here. The state director is still working also. He's not comfortable in telling you how that's going to happen because they don't know how. But it is going to be a reimbursement process. And a lot of your homeowners that we're working with, we're trying to get their ICC claims, which is the increased cost of compliance. A lot of them are being denied because they haven't put a claim in the last 2 years. So a lot of them don't have the money to put up for their 25%. They can't go out and get a home loan. They can't do those types of things to do the elevation. And a lot of these people are in your districts. Well, all of them are in your districts, but you know who I'm speaking of. So I can go ahead and pass this out, but I'd like to take any kind of questions on the possible 25% reimbursement of what we can do.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Calling ICC money. They have to show 50% damage on their property.
They can be qualified under two different ways. They can have the 50% damage within a storm of the assessed value of the property, or they can be on the severe repetitive loss list.
Okay.
A lot of your adjusters that are in the ICC claim are not looking at that severe repetitive loss list anymore. They stated that they have to have a 2-year claim within the last 2 years, or they have to have 50% damage. So
And-
they've changed a lot of your.
And if they've had, let's say, 4 losses in the last 12 or 15 years, that doesn't qualify?
They're not looking at those. No, they're not. And it's crazy because they'd rather pay $20,000 each time they flood instead of putting a $30,000 grant up to mitigate it permanently.
Yes, I know there were some people on the Emmett River that had flooding a few years ago, and it had much more than 50% damage to their homes, and really didn't know about the ICC monies and all. And so that's something that we need to pass around, because it is, I think they have up to $30,000 which they can use to improve or elevate.
To elevate or to make repairs.
Or repair their houses, and it's a very good plan. I'm working with that right now in Grand Isle, so it does work.
Unfortunately, there hasn't been one insurance agent that has known how to do that process. They've all called us to find out how they do it, and they are the ones that have to initiate it, so they're not educating their homeowners.
And you know, may I add, I don't know, Mr. Rue, maybe we can have something, Mr. Laverne or somebody in the building department take a look at it, because I know I think in Terrebonne and Jefferson, all the people end up calling the building department because they don't know who else to call, and a lot of the information is forwarded from them. And so I've just had some experience with those people, and they've had a lot of success. And a lot of times it takes a letter from the building department in order to expedite this money's going out to the people. So maybe we can in some kind of way help them get this, because I know it does happen along the Emmett River there.
Mr. Thompson.
Caller, if this drainage board put up to 25%, does company reimburse the money back to the drainage board?
It's the LRA. Let me go ahead and pass this resolution. The LRA, the Louisiana Recovery Authority, has passed the resolution. It has been adopted as of August 10th. It's now going, and I do believe also the legislature's adopted it. I'd have to go back and verify that, but I have heard that they have. So what is happening now is the state director, the LRA, and the HUD department, the CDBG, are working together to develop the policies and procedures of how that reimbursement is going to happen. But they are stating that whoever it is that puts up the reimbursement, in time, once they get the policies and procedures in place, then they'll go ahead and reimburse.
Finish, Mr. McConnell?
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure I understand this. For the repetitive losses, is this this grant's going to deal with elevation, or is this also part of the buyout program?
Yes, it is. It's part of the buyout, the acquisition, and the elevation program.
Because I do have some constituents in District 10 who have experienced flooding. I don't know if you call it severe flooding, but to me, 3 inches of water in your house, where you have to rip out your carpet and the subflooring and all like and the
Any claim
insulation.
over $5,000.
When you have to do that 3 times in the past year and a half, that to me that's severe repetitive flooding. But I have some individuals who have had that happen, and they're going to qualify for this program. I think there's one family I know of that I believe you're working with. On
Talk
Rome.
to me before I leave, and don't mention any streets or any names or anything, but go ahead and let me know, because I've recently gotten a call from a councilman, and he was asking why I hadn't contacted the homeowner. It hadn't been given to me. And we did make contact, and we are going there tonight. So,
Well, without mentioning names or streets, one of them's here tonight.
yes.
I'll let you search him out.
We do have homeowners in the audience that are listening on how this is working.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Caller, what I'm sorry. What you're asking us to do tonight is to endorse this as a...
To consider the possibility of putting up the 25% match. And
that is something that will be reimbursed in the future.
Correct, and we can go ahead over the next couple of weeks because our application deadline's been extended to October 29th because this came out right before our deadline. So we're looking back because a lot of your homeowners, they wanted to go into the elevation program, but they didn't have the cash to put up. So they opted for an acquisition because they could take their proceeds of their profits and deduct their 25%. So some of those are switching from an acquisition now to an elevation in hopes that they'll be reimbursed, either themselves or possibly the Drainage Board. We'll put up that match.
But according to this, it says that eventually they will be reimbursed.
And the state director, I have an email also from him stating that he is confident that this is going to happen because the LRA has passed the resolution. He just doesn't have the policies and procedures in place to let everyone know this is how it's going to happen.
Question. Mr. Savoy is next.
Yeah.
Caller, do you have any idea how many structures that we're looking at right now so that we could have a feel for how much money our 25% would be that we would have to put up and then have to hold off waiting for the reimbursement to come back?
Right
when does
now,
it look like the reimbursement will come back?
Right now we have 11 elevations and 6 acquisitions, but we're still working on several of them that when we went to them the first time, they stated they couldn't participate because they didn't have the funding. So we're having to go back to those. It could be up to 20, 25, 20, 30. But you have a limited number of funds. You only have $2.9 million in grant. So if you figure 25% of that, it could be between $600,000 and $800,000.
All right. One thing that we might want to think about is passing a resolution supporting this thing pending the passage of that bill or that proposal. That's all I got.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Savoy.
Is that a motion?
No, it can't be, yes.
Got a motion by Mr. Savoy, second by Mr. McConnell.
What you want to do is wait till they,
O'Neill.
as you're saying, subject to them approving some
The reimbursement program.
reimbursement.
Finalizing the reimbursement program.
That's what I want to make sure.
The only way that the board was willing to put up the money is if they guarantee that the refund's coming back.
You got that, Heather? Got a question, Mr. Hillingsback?
Yeah, Carla. Now the reimbursement, it's not going to have to come from the people where we have to go after the reimbursement. It's going to come directly to us from the program.
Well, the funds come to the entity. So the homeowner usually puts their 25% up into a fund, into an account at finance, is how it's worked in the past. And then the funds for the project are cut out of that. So they already have the money up front if the homeowner puts it up. If you're putting it up, it would be from your drainage board, and then the reimbursement would come from LRA or CDBG to you.
Okay, it wouldn't come from the individual. It would come back. Okay.
Unless they were putting up the match, and then the homeowner would have the match directly reimbursed.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Any more questions? So we have a motion on the floor by Mr. Savoy, second by Mr. McConnell, to move forward with this resolution pending approval by the LRA. Any objections? So moved.
Thank you, guys. On behalf of the homeowners, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bill, we're going to move on to Department of Public Works. Mr. Bill Rue.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Mr. President. This is somewhat of a long report again because we have a lot of things going on at DPW and in Parish concerning drainage. First off, of course, you have the report of work completed and work scheduled last month and for the coming month. Mr. Valentine already commented on a couple items. What I would prefer is that any particular concerns on these items, you call my office tomorrow and we'll discuss it personally instead of taking up the board's time tonight. We will answer all your concerns that you may have with these individual work orders and try to get to a conclusion on it. So with that, I'm going to go straight to my other report. And before I get into some of it, I'd like to have just present a little clarification, and it's not so much for the board members, but it's also public watching. It's not as simple as some people have implied to distinguish between what is major drainage and what is regular drainage. It would get in a lot of complexities on how you fund this thing and what is one and what is the other. The fact of the matter is regular drainage is a millage. A millage brings in $4 or $5 million. I'm not quite sure, but it's not that much.
2.9. Bill.
2.9.
Right now.
It's barely able to pay for weed control, period. Major drainage and major drainage channel brings in Mr. Chairman, you know.
It's 5.3 right now.
5.3 million. That's your bulk of your money. Now, if you restrict your activities and say, well, regular drainage, we're not going to spend a penny out of major drainage, you don't have enough to take care of your weed control. And I'll give you a good for instance, the mitigation, the board voted just a minute ago to help fund $600,000. If you go strictly by the rules and you don't look at it closely, you're saying that comes out of regular drainage because that's the only money you got to spend on it. You can't spend major drainage out of that. So do you have the money? We don't have enough money to barely pay for weed control. So years ago, that's the reason basically the board decided to say drainage is drainage. We can combine the monies and let the board set the priority wherever it might be. The fact of the matter is, most of your complaints come from regular drainage. Most of the money spent over the last 20 years or so has come from major drainage to do regular drainage work because that's where the complaints are. So what we have always advocated, and I've advocated over the last 6 years, if you're going to do anything, make it official, combine the two, and say drainage is drainage, millage, regular drainage, major drainage, it's all drainage, and let the board distinguish where the bulk of the money can go, but don't try to use the regular drainage, major drainage scenario to determine that. It makes a lot more sense. You still have control over the project that the money is spent on, but you won't get into this type of hassle. So again, I just want to make that clarification so that at least the public knows it's a very, very difficult situation to try to budget this money from year to year and at the same time get the work done. Weed control. We have made the determination that, and it was something I'm going to report on already, so it's not something that was said tonight. We are separating drainage from roads. I gave a directive this week to separate manpower for weed control. On-road, we'll strictly do on-road work. Off-road, we'll strictly do off-road work. There will not be a commingling of operations in weed control. The state crew will complement the parish system, road maintenance system, weed control system, in that we are paying a bulk of the money, at least half of the money of the contract to DOTD is coming out of the parish coffers. For that reason, we're going to utilize those people on parish roads too. The other fact is we haven't concluded the negotiation with DOTD on renegotiating the contract and getting more money for our contract. They're supposed to come down and audit our finance department on the books to see exactly what we are spending on it. We're only getting $139,000 from them. We're spending in the neighborhood of $400,000 or $500,000. And until they audit us, we haven't signed a new contract. We're not going to release the state crew, but we are going to put them on parish roads to help the parish road system catch up and do the work there. Again, I've already separate the salaries in the crews. Road is road, off-road is drainage, and that's the way it's going to be in the future. And they're going to start that next week. The way we're going to work it for storms or any kind of emergencies or drainage, rain events, is that we actually going to charge the drainage board when road people have to go over a weekend or a week or whatever. We're going to keep their time and we're going to come back and invoice the drainage department on work that they did on drainage through an event, a major rain event or emergency event. And I think we'll have all the reporting there and all the finance will have it straight up for you so you can look at it, review it, and okay the payment, transferring the money from major drainage to the road department to reimburse them for work on drainage. So that's going to begin next week. We're putting it into effect. Project, Back Bayou. Of course, we reported last time we're up to Highway 44. And really through the efforts of Mr. Jim LeBlanc with URS and our staff, CJ, and the rest of the finance department putting information together, we can announce tonight that the permit has been extended, and we should get the letter of approval next week for at least 9 to 12 months. And so we're going to proceed immediately back on Back Bayou and finish that project. We always knew that we either could get an extension. We were doubtful of getting an extension, but at least we knew we could go and apply for a new permit. This helps us out, and we're getting a much better rapport with the Corps of Engineers. and we are beginning to work real closely together. And again, it's through the efforts of my engineering staff, which includes URS. Marty Burak ditch. To date, we have already cleaned behind up to the Kirby Edmondson property. We have, with the help of the parish president, we have talked to Mr. Edmondson and came to the agreement how we can continue that operation through his property. We haven't concluded the negotiations, but it looks, we're hopeful we can continue that project down and get some of the grubbing and clearing out of the way to get some immediate benefits to some of the subdivisions of Stafford Heights and I think the area right above that where the new subdivisions coming in, Abbey James Road and such. The big issue with Marty Burak ditch, which actually goes into the Marty Burak ditch, goes down to the Parker Bayou and into Henderson Bayou. We are, in fact, next week I'm issuing a task order to start the mitigation process of that bayou. That's the first phase of a construction project to start at Henderson Bayou and go all the way up Marty Burak ditch. At the same time, we've talked to CDM, and they're going to work on the initial design so it can complement our permit process. When we get the delineation completed, we can go straight to permitting and straight to construction. We have some issues with the Keystone project and area of Parker Bayou at that place, but I think it can be resolved, and we're hoping by the first of the year that we can start that project and not do spot cleaning, but start at the beginning, confluence of Parker Bayou and Henderson Bayou, and proceed upward and benefit that whole area. Panama Conway Canals, of course, we issued. The contract has been issued, has been executed for NRCS to begin the project of grubbing and clearing of Panama and Conway Canals. We have not. We've been in contact with them. They have not been able to give us a start date, but we're telling them that this is something that we need to do immediately, or at least put it as a priority. And that's all we can do at this point is keep nudging them to proceed with the start of these two projects. And as we stated before, what we're going to do when they start the project and hire the construction company to do it, we're going to come in and, with the approval of the board, add on to that project to actually do a little bit of dredging work, a little bit of clearing of sand dunes or whatever in the bottom of the canal, make it more efficient. That's going to come after we know who the contractor is. So we're going to proceed with that. Muddy Creek. Basically, Muddy Creek and a few other bayous. In fact, I can go ahead and just say Muddy Creek and Bayou Northeast, the Goudin. These are three main bayous that we are at the same time. I just mentioned we do delineation of the Marty Burak ditch. We're also going to do a task order to delineate Bayou Francois all the way up, the Goudin from New River to the end, and also Muddy Creek all the way up to the end. We're going to start a mitigation process so we can apply for permits and get the permit to reconstruct all three bayous. Hopefully we'll have the mitigation done by the end of the year, or at least first of next year, and we go to the next phase, which is the preliminary design to get the permits. With all of this, it's still going to take us at least to the next year sometime, middle of the year, before we can actually get to the point where we can start doing some work. But first thing we're going to do in all these bayous, though, is proceed with the shredding of loose material and not the big trees, but the scrub trees and debris under the trees. We're going to start that in-house operation to clear that out of the way, and that should help the efficiency of those bayous until we are able to get our permits in place, get our specifications in place, and proceed with the major projects of going up those canals. The other issue, of course, Muddy Creek is not a major issue, Henderson Bayou is not, but the Bayou Northeast and Goudin, again, we are waiting on, and we should have it before too much longer, is the evaluation of the pumping station, and that's going to decide the project itself, the design of the project, how much we're going to dredge, and how large the enlargement of those bayous, or if we're able to do it even at all. That's going to be your decision based on the engineering design coming back from Burt Kleinpeter, and we should have that shortly. But we're going to start the process with the hopes that we are able to do some major improvements along these bayous. Cotton Bayou, there's some local issues. We looked at that. We have the problems over there. We're going to upgrade the bridge at David Drive. That should relieve a lot of the pressure on Cotton Bayou. We're going to do some shredding of the minor shrub, not the big trees. Again, we're not going to try to take down big trees. There are a lot of issues, some of which is environmental, because you shred some of these big trees, you leave too much material in the bayou, it washed down, it could affect wildlife, fisheries, or something like this. So we're going to take the light stuff out and make it more efficient. And this is something we're going to do on all the bayous with our own machine, which should be coming next week. It's due on the 11th. And we're going to put it in operation, and we have also some qualified people that are going to be trained, and also we're going to bring some people in that knows how to operate it, and so we can immediately start the operation and not have to go through a training period. The Pizat ditch, we're working on that. We do need to do that's the ditch off of Brittany Road going to the railroad tracks behind Sorrento Lumber. It's a major issue for that area. We're going we try to do the survey. We need no more Garvin and clearing to get through that, and we should be completed that before the next meeting and know exactly what the design will be. Shea Snyder ditch by Oak Grove. That's been an issue for many years for the Highway 73 drainage. We have improved that ditch. We're doing the last section of the ditch in Mr. Shea Snyder's property. It allowed us to get in there. We're doing it now. We have one small section left, which is from the Highway 73 to the first crossing, and that's going to be completely finished after they get the crossing of 73 in, which we are participating with St. Elizabeth and also DOTD in putting in larger cross drains at that location to benefit the major problem that we have with the drainage in that area, especially the overtopping of 73 causing a safety hazard when we get fairly minor rains. Bayou Grand subdivision. Been an issue for a number of weeks or months now, and we have ordered a 4x8 box cover that will cross under, which is the main problem we see under Bayou Grand Road. It's the same size of the box at Tigger Duplessis and crossing into the Bayou Goudin. We also going to provide an 18-inch cover just north of that on the Bayou Grand Road to give a supplemental crossing to improve the situation at a couple of the houses and improve that situation for everybody there. So that should vastly improve the situation in Bayou Grand. We're going to probably mobilize for the 18-inch cover next week, and we have several more weeks to wait for the box covers to be in, but when they are, we are going to mobilize immediately and get that taken care of. Dutton Road, that's the whole project on the corner of Highway 73, 61. Of course, they had the dentist complaining about the dentist's office having problems. We've got a major bank and commercial development right there, right on the corner, always flooded. We have a project that will solve that situation. It is cutting a major ditch alongside going north along the railroad tracks to a major low area where all the water eventually goes anyway. SJB is given the task to obtain the right-of-way. It looks like we're going to have to go to expropriation. We're going to make that decision within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And if immediately go to expropriation, if in fact he can't get all the heirs to agree. Once expropriation is complete, we're going to mobilize immediately and dig that ditch and put a new crossing, box covers under Dutton Road, and it should clear up all the problems within that area. After that, we're going to cut a ditch or improve the drainage from across the concrete company's property to drain into this area, into that ditch, and proceed to the low area. So again, that will solve the problem. We don't want to cut the ditch across to or do any improvements to the concrete company property because it's actually holding up some of the water and keeping it off of the bank and that development, because if you cut it and improve it now, it's going to put more water, removing the problem, put more water onto the development. So we're going to wait until the main outlet is cut, and then we'll improve it, and that should solve that situation. Manchac Plantation, we had some concerns over that last few months. We have a conceptual design. In fact, the parish president and I met with the people of that in that subdivision. They're satisfied with our design and the improvements that we are initiating. Is in the design phase right now, but it will solve that problem at 3 cul-de-sacs in Plantation, Manchac Plantation. Now again, they are satisfied. We're satisfied. And I think we're going to solve the problem at that point. And again, as an engineer, as soon as engineering is complete, we're going to mobilize. Well, in fact, what we're going to have to do, it's going to be several months because there's a lot of utility relocation that has to be made. And after utility relocation, again, we'll get in there and do the improvements. When it comes to the point of we're going to come back to the board when we know how much it's going to cost and get your approval to do that work. It's going to be a pretty good bit of money, but we'll take it to you and you'll make that determination if you want to proceed from that point. 5 subdivision is still in engineering. Of course, I've mentioned at the last meeting, we are going to dig a ditch, design a ditch along the west side of that subdivision to help the drainage out. That's the first phase. Second phase is improve the subdivision streets, the culverts under driveways. And the third phase, if those two doesn't solve the problem or at least bring it down to a manageable situation, then we'll look at the pumping of that system. But we're not going to go straight into the third phase until we see if the first and second phase can handle the problem. The pumping station, we are in the phase now of looking at and getting a conceptual design of a new control room and also new enclosures for the pumps themselves. Right now the enclosures are made out of metal. They're starting to rust. They're not very secure. And what we're doing in the meantime, we're strapping them down, anchoring them to the concrete, so in case we have a situation, an event before we have time to go in, and we're going to do the major work during the winter out of the hurricane season. But before we have time to really make improvements out there, we're going to strap everything down. But part of our improvements is to actually put block walls around as the enclosure around all the pumps, hurricane rating of at least 150 miles per hour. We're also going to make the control room a hunker down area that capable of withstanding at least 150 mile an hour storm, and at the same time put electronic controls inside that the control room so you can actually monitor and control some of your pumps from that location during the main event. We're having a major problem, and Councilman Sheikh and I talked to me before the meeting, but this is something we've been concerned about. It's hydralia, it's the lilies, if you would say, in most of our major bayous. We have contacted DOTD. They do not have the money in the past. They have provided some funds for this. Our next step, as suggested by Mr. Sheikh and I, is to contact the Wildlife and Fisheries. We can see if they can help. The bottom line is if this all fails, one of the questions I'm going to ask tonight if you want us to proceed with getting estimates of contracting it out ourselves and come back to the board with the price of us actually doing it ourselves, or not doing it ourselves, contracting it out separately, but paying for it through the board money. So again, we're going to come back to the next drainage board meeting, or even maybe before, if we can get some pricing, get some information. I'll contact by email the drainage board members and try to get your consent to move to the next step before the next meeting, because it is becoming a problem, and it could be a drainage issue if we get a major event that comes down to the pumping station. I'm going to be in Washington the end of this week. I have meetings with several members of Congress, and specifically talking about grants and about money coming into the Corps of Engineers, one of which is the FEMA money on and applications for flood control, which is levees, and maybe even some money for the pumping station. We're also going to be talking about wastewater treatment and grants and money for that. So I will be there at the end of the week, and I will report at the next meeting on what I found out about that issue. Some of the other stuff that was brought up at many other meetings, we are completing the riprap of Montmar's property on Bayou Francois, and we're just about complete with that riprap operation. It's looking good, and we're going to proceed to the other side of the bayou, but in the back of the subdivision, as soon as we finish this project. This is one of the projects that we tried to contract out. We had no one that was interested in it, so we went in and did it ourselves. We had a lot of issues with encroachments on the servitude, and again, I would reiterate what the policy of DPW is. If an encroachment into a servitude, drainage servitude, causes a problem with drainage, inhibits drainage, we step in and resolve the matter. If it doesn't inhibit drainage, we pretty much stay out of it. We think of it as the fact that we do not own that property. The property owner owns it. It's just our servitude. We have a right to keep the drainage open, but we try to keep out of mandating to the property owner exactly what he has or can't have in that servitude unless it inhibits drainage. If it is, that is our problem, and that is something that we are becoming active with, and through the attorney sending out letters and actually mandating that they remove the structures, at least to the point that they're not in a factor with the drainage system. We had one particular issue, I think, Prairie Oaks last month, and in the subdivision right behind that, if I'm not mistaken, come to find out, the subdivision that we had the complaint from is the subdivision with the problem. It's the one with the fences that are inhibited drainage throughout the whole subdivision, backside of the subdivision. The other subdivision, which was the complaint on, actually is doing a good job. They had a couple of issues, but we fixed that. But there behind it, there's a swell ditch. The ditch, Prairie Oaks itself, does not have a drainage structure behind the fence, and it's major trees through there, and that's the issue. So we did clear it up with the people behind there, but the issue is, and the problem is, with the subdivision of that subdivision itself and the people living in that subdivision. CDM, we met this afternoon, and the bottom line is, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it, they went back to the Corps, and we had lengthy discussions with them, and they with the Corps. The fact of the matter is the most likely route for the new Law Risk Levy proposal is the long route, which is around up to Prince Road and continue along the highlands of 431 and Lake and on that way, which is the long route. Mainly because of permitting issues. What we propose is, and I would like to get the authority to issue a task order to proceed to the next task, but it looks like our recommendation is to go to the first phase of the major project. We recommend going that route because of many issues, most of which tied to mitigation and the Corps of Engineer permits. But we like to break it up into stages. The first stage being the Prince Road, and we like to go to the next task, which is the survey and geotech of that first phase, so we can get the design and move forward with that project. And this is one thing I can actually do it because y'all issued the contract and payment for the whole thing, but I want to bring to your attention that I'd like to just do that first phase of that project, with that being the route. And I'd like to get you okay tonight on that. And again, I'm going to go ahead and finish my report, and then we'll, I guess, come back.
That is item 10, I believe,
okay,
on the agenda. So
okay, good. We'll just come back to that under 10 then. And but that is the administration recommendation is to proceed with that. No use wasting any more time on the other routes. Henderson Bayou, by 75 complete with the model, and they're moving along really fast on this. Again, as part of that project, I will be coming to you at the next board meeting to have some costs on the additional work that I'm asked CDM to do, and that is some preliminary design and help with permitting on the Marty Burak ditch, and so we can proceed with permitting and that construction even prior to the complete report or the evaluation of Henderson Bayou. We can go ahead and move forward with the permitting of that. I need a preliminary design. Since they're doing the model, it'd be easy for them to come up with this task. But I'm going to come back with you with the numbers at the next meeting to move forward with this. Basically, that's all I have. I know it's quite a lot, but we are doing a lot. We're moving forward. We're trying to be proactive. We're trying to hit the hot spots, and believe me, we have priorities, and the priorities change. We want a priority this week may not be a priority next month, based on new issues that come up. I am happy with the engineers that we have on staff, consultants, especially URS, CDM, BKI, and also with my own staff and my own employees at DPW. They deserve most of the credit. So with that, I can answer any questions.
Mr. Lambert.
Mr. Hillensback.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Lambert, and thank you for that report, extensive report, Mr. Rue. I, for one, I want to thank you for all the work going on in District 7 And I'm elated to hear about the permit being renewed and the continued work that's going to go on as far as cleaning back Black Bayou and Muddy Creek. I guess a question that caught my attention was when you said we're going to clean all the way up Muddy Creek. Of course, begins at Bayou Manchac, and unlike most of the drainage districts or drainage bayous, ditches in the parish, that one flows from south to north. So you're going to take it all the way to the end down around Prairieville School. You're going to do cleaning all the way to.
Actually, it goes all the way to airline. Actually, the railroad
goes on
track
beyond
behind
that
Seven
airline
Oaks
highway in Seven
subdivision.
Oaks, right?
And actually, what we're looking at doing is going all the way to the railroad tracks in Seven Oaks.
Okay, all the way to
improve the
the
drainage
railroad.
all the
That's
way up.
Yeah.
If not greatly enlarging it, at least cleaning it and making it more efficient.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all the work that's gone on the last several months, and I traveled Highway 44 I think past Friday or Friday before last, and we had that last good hard rain, and the water in Black Bayou at 44, it looked like it was white capping. It was moving so fast, and I think that's due to the maintenance work. And again, not dredging, but maintenance work that's gone on, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Savoy?
Yeah, Bill, I'm really excited about your report tonight. Doing a fine job on it. Can I have a copy of it?
I can have a copy and my autograph if you.
That's fine. I'd like to have a copy of it. If you don't mind, I'd like to have a copy of it. One question I see on the drainage on the schedule, Bill, I see where we removed some flat gates from Black Bayou. I have to ask the question, why are we removing them? I mean, we put them there for a reason.
If I'm not mistaken, these are flap gates that for cattle. It's where the fence lines come.
Okay.
And
I
we
thought
have
it was on
just north of by Germany Road, going up in that area. There are several areas of places where flap gates are. Probably, in fact, throughout the parish. And this is for the cattlemen out that might be watching us. The flap gates are a major problem to our drainage system. These gates get stopped up easy. They don't open. They don't release the debris, and it's a major problem throughout the parish. We don't know how to fix it. We're asking some of the landowners, if you have that, you get a rain event, to go out and check the flap gates and try to help us out a little bit on that.
Okay.
Ms. Partner?
Mr. Rue, I want to thank you for your report tonight, because it sounds like they got some good news for some of the people that came from my district. I, like Mr. Savoy, would like a copy of your report. I've made some notes, but I think your notes will be better than mine. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson? Mr. Shakespeare?
Yes, thank you. Again, I too thank you for a very good report. Bill, we had discussed early on about, you had talked about going to Washington for monies for the things, the height of our levees. We had discussed this at a previous meeting as to not being at the height that would give us benefits on all of this drainage work that we're doing. Can you possibly work that into your request that we can possibly find some monies to help raise these existing levees to the proper height so that we can get credit for the work that we've done in the parish, insurance companies and everything that can give us some credit, and flood mitigation, these levels and everything is very important.
Actually, Councilman, you're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is, though, that CDM has already brought that to our attention as part of their design of the extension of Law Ridge Levee. That project will include the raising of the old levees to the standard of the new levees.
Good.
But that's all included with CDM and their evaluation and their task. So that's all part of it. And this is one of the things we're going to talk to Washington about, is to try to get money through the FEMA and through the happenings of Katrina and everything else, to try to stretch some money out of them to benefit our levee system.
And the other thing is, I don't know, Mr. Chairman, if this is the right time, or maybe go to new old business. He brought up the idea about the lilies, and I would like to make a motion that we authorize Mr. Rue to do whatever he thinks is prudent for us getting monies. These lilies in our pumping system and our drainage systems are a big obstacle if we do have a major drainage event. major rain event. And I think he ought to have the ability to make a judgment call on that and do whatever he thinks is prudent to get this sprayed or removed or whatever. So I would offer that as a motion to
Okay, I got a motion
to do
by
that.
Mr. Shakes, now a second by Mr. Thompson to approve bills. looking into
And
the-
please report to us
report
as to
back
what.
the cost and move forward. Any other questions? Mr. McConnell.
Well, I have a question. In the New River Bayou near my home, it's full of that water hyacinth, and I mean it's crowding up against the bridges, and it's overflowing onto the banks and so forth like that. And often what they do to take care of it is they spray it, and then it just drops down to the bottom of the bayou, and that just causes more and more sediment, and it's just putting more mud essentially on the bottom of the bayou, and it's decreasing the capacity of the bayou when you're adding to the sediment. So I don't know, maybe getting rid of the water hyacinth might, on the face of it or in the beginning of it, be help out the system or help out the drainage. But I just believe that all that additional sediment is hampering the drainage, decreasing the capacity. So I don't know that spraying that is necessarily the best issue. I certainly wouldn't want to get out there with a metal rake and pull it up on the bayou bank, but
It is going to get to the bottom either by us spraying it or by wintertime whenever it dies. One way or another, you're going to have it there, unless we remove it. So, and I don't think that's practical.
Mr. Valentine.
A point of order on that. Is Mr. Rue requesting that, Mr. Shakespeare? Because it isn't on the agenda. I think we need.
He was requesting direction as to that,
I think we were going to bring it up on the new business.
and that's what I was saying. I don't know whether
We can
this
bring it back up,
officially.
you know, if you prefer.
Yeah, because we're gonna make a motion on something first. We'll have to put it on the agenda.
That's right.
We'll bring it up under new business. Why don't we defer it and discuss it at that time?
That's fine.
Just a suggestion.
We'll move it to new business. That's fine. That's fine. Any more questions?
Yeah,
Mr. Hillinsback.
before we move on, Bill, tell me again that you saying that the existing task order is for CDM to go study the existing levies as well, because I remember Sean Vickner with the Corps when he was here in July. He told us up front we get no credit at all for the existing levies. Now, so the $547,000 that they get, that's also going to cover them studying the levees to see what improvements need to be made to get them at 2 feet above base flood elevation, or
Yes, sir. Part of that is to look at the low area, and it's not the whole system. It's just different points, mostly at the area of Law Ridge Levee, well, actually Law Ridge Levee from Highway 22 to the rear of Highway actually Gold Place Road. There are some areas right there toward the end that drop down that is lower than the rest of it, and there are certain areas in between that has subsided over the years. And part of the thing is to bring them up to the level that the new levee is going to be.
so they're going to study that as part of that $547,000 task order, no additional monies.
No, not for the study part.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. President.
Just a couple points, gentlemen and ladies, make sure we understand. And Bill, thanks so much for all the work you guys are doing there. As we've gone out to a lot of subdivisions now looking at these fences and servitudes, especially interior, we talked about what is a swell between two sets of homes. Some of them actually putting the fences all the way to the soil, the top of the ground across, which obviously presents a drainage problem. Now, some of them are running parallel with the drainage in the middle of the servitude, which we don't think is causing a significant problem. And depending on what we got some subdivisions where this is all the way through. And so as we're going back, obviously we have a ton of subdivisions now, so we're getting to them as time allows, but make sure you understand Bill's point. If we don't think it's inhibiting the drainage, we're not telling all of them just to take all of those fences up or raise them. But if it is a situation where the water cannot go under, we're telling them they got to raise those fences. And many people realize, yesterday the gentleman we was with realized that his driveway is on this servitude, on these cul-de-sacs back in Plantation. He realized that he's an engineer. When the house was built, it was put right on top of the servitude. So if we got to go and change that, his driveway's got to be torn up, and he understands he's got to pay for that. It's his personal responsibility. So we're glad to see a person to own up and fess up. And as we, of course, when you do the surveying, you can see it. The other thing, I just want to emphasize the importance of this safe house provision. Even though we don't think we'll ever get a storm, sustained winds to 150 miles an hour, hopefully we don't in the McElroy pumping area. As parish president, when I ask or direct someone to maintain those pumps in a significant storm event, I think it's very important that we do everything, I do everything I can, and you do everything you can to make sure that they are safe, to stay there during that storm event. And you saw that issue become critical in Orleans and Jefferson when parish president ordered the abandonment of the pumping system for the health, safety, and welfare of his employees. And so this is something that we don't know yet what it's going to cost us, but we think it's something that's going to be important. So we're asking people to stay there to maintain this pumping system. If we have a significant storm, that building that they're staying in, doing that is safe. And so I wanted to make sure we all understand that. If you haven't been out to the pumping station in a while, you go see it, because we do have some deterioration problems taking place with these metal structures. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Before we move on the Public Works report, I got Mr. Mitchell Epps signed up to speak under that agenda item.
I think Bill answered most of the questions I had already, and so did Ronnie there, on the safe haven that you're putting at the pump station, which I think is a must if you expect people to man a station in an emergency, like take Katrina, for example, headed this way. But what contractual obligation do you have with your employees in the case of an emergency, like a policeman or fireman would not abandon their station due to public safety, to have someone that has agreed to man those stations? What arrangements do you have there?
We do have pump station attendants, and go back and answer it just straight up. We don't have a formal agreement with anybody, but over the last umpteen years that we've been manning the station, we had enormous amount of dedicated participation by members of the drainage department that volunteer to go out there, and they stay. And we never had a problem in the past manning the station in like this, because we really have people waiting in line to go. We have some dedicated employees.
You never had a hurricane headed this way, though?
Well, we manned them in hurricanes, I mean, in major events, and the people stayed out there. We never really had a problem. We're going to make it more secure, more comfortable, and really with the ability to monitor the pump station, I mean the pumps themselves from inside, without actually having to go physically outside and do some of the control work. And because they have been doing that in major events, which is a hazard, and we're going to eliminate that.
Okay, and how about you got a pump station at Sorrento? What would you do with that station as far as protection of personnel and manning?
That's our next station too. And
Mr. Chairman, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sure, Mr. President.
If we could we get with you, Mr. Epps?
Yeah, you're on the subject, and I thought it'd be the appropriate time to get a resolution.
In private with you, I appreciate it.
And also the new station on Henderson Bayou, if and when it ever gets built. That should be
have to address that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to move on to number 8, resolution for Sorrento Lumber Project. Mr. Bill Rue.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. If you see, it should have been handed out to you. We did the project, and it's really a beneficial project, putting the box covers across the parking lot of Sorrento Lumber Company. Had a participation with Sorrento Lumber Company. We had an estimate of cost at the time, and if you look back at the motion, it was to Sorrento Lumber Company to put up at least the cost share with Sorrento Company of $20,000, and what happened was they actually paid for more items than by our request, because they had access to the items already. So instead of us purchasing them, they provided them with the agreement that we were going to reimburse them the extra cost. And the extra cost came to $8,995. So when they sent the invoice, they sent it for the full amount of $28,000, but $8,995 of that is for other items that we requested.
I move to pay the invoice, Mr. Chairman.
The 8,000.
Got a motion by Mr. McConnell, second by Mr. Salmore.
Additional $8,000. $8,995.
So moved. We're gonna move on to number 9, Fife subdivision. Mr. Thompson, you got
Yes,
filled in?
Bill, thank you for the report you gave on Fife subdivision, and continue to do the good work. I'm sure the people in the parish sure appreciate everything you've done, because you've worked hard. Thank you again.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 10.
I got a question about Fife subdivision. After they do that.
Sir, you have to sign in, and you can bring it up in the old business.
Okay.
We're gonna move on to number 10, which is I'll get Omar up here, but we talked about it a little bit on the Bill's report that we only have one route now to take. So I guess we just need to move on it at this time.
And that's basically what we had a meeting this afternoon, and that's with our discussion, and we came to the conclusion.
That's the only route that we have. Right.
Right.
Shakespeare.
Bill.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Go ahead, Mr. Sellers. Yes, sir.
Clarify what you need and what you recommend.
Okay, what we recommend is actually what I need from the board is to say, okay, that you agree with us that the route to take for the extension of Law Ridge Levee is the long route up to Prince Road and continue on. The entire project will go along 431 all the way to Lake Morton, and but it's a multi-year, multi-phase project. And the only thing we're looking at right now is taking your authorization to take the first phase, which is up to Prince Road, and then after that project is on its way, we'll look at going to the next.
Motion to approve the first phase to Prince Road.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hillisbeck, second by Shakespeare. Questions? Objections? So moved. We'll move on to number 11, firm maps finding. The lady that signed up under this agenda item is sick, and her neighbor's got the same problem, and he's talking for her and himself, Mr. Rick Poirier. He has signed up to talk on this item. Got 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. Bear with me because I just got this information this afternoon. Does this slide work or what? There's not a projector here. Anyway, the paper she gave me, our subdivision is north of Province Point and south of the new subdivision Renaissance. So we're kind of nestled in between there. And the issue is, and has been, I think FEMA or firm is basing their findings on a map provided by the parish, and it hasn't been updated. And reason it's on there now?
I believe it's on.
Anyway, we have a plat that was signed by Harvey Kling, November 1998. It's right here. Right there. And this is what FEMA is using right now. So I don't know if it's FEMA or firm. And as you can see, this part of the road is still not shown on there. And we have a final plat that was signed by Harvey Kling. Of course, it's going to be too big. That shows the extension. And the reason it's an issue is that FEMA's using a map that shows a ditch that's going through the some of the lots, and that ditch is gone. It was moved over like about 200 feet east, and so they're basing it on that, which it pulls in that North Point Drive also. And although my house is on it, but that part of North Point wasn't on the map. So basically, if you just go to North Point, they just pulled in North Point and said all the houses are in the new flood zone. What I'm asking the parish to do is to provide FEMA with an updated or correct plat, which if the parish don't have it, we have a copy that was signed by Harvey Kling. The interesting thing that I find is when they did Renaissance, right here, it's not showing again, that they're showing the updated plat. This is Province Point, this is Renaissance. But they didn't get this from the parish, they had to get it from Ferris Engineering because they couldn't find it. So All I'm asking is two things, that whenever you provide FEMA with a map, that it be correct and updated, and obviously in these subdivisions that are adjacent to it, that the plat will also be correct and updated. So that's all I'm asking. And that way, when they base their decision whether it's a flood zone, and my house is 20 foot and a half, is in the flood zone right now. You know, I had an elevation shot of all 5 lots in this area. Lots 4 and 5 are 19 and a half foot. Our houses are 20 and a half foot, but yet FEMA has it in Zone A in the flood zone, which doesn't make sense. But they're basing it on the old maps that they're getting from the parish. So all I'm asking is you just update and get it correct and get them the right map so they can make the time.
Mr. Rick, you might want to get with Marion Johnson, with our DPW floodplain manager, and fill her in. And she's in charge of.
We went to FEMA directly because that's part of the hindrance.
Okay.
That person.
Okay. Thank you, Rick. Okay, we're going to move on to number 12, placing drainage information on parish website. Mr. Doug Hillisbeck.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we had Mr. John Sneller made this request some time back, and I admit that it may be hard to put all the information that's going on with DPW, maybe drainage work within the parish, but I think it would really be beneficial for the citizens that like to follow what is being done. I know the school board has this practice. They're out there building, building schools or doing additions. You can go to their website and you can see the work progress and that's taking place as it happens. Updated pictures and information, what have you. And I just think it's a valid idea. I think anytime we can present more information to the public, it's good. It keeps the public informed, and I would be in favor of it. I guess
You want to ask Randy where? Wasn't Randy got directed on that?
Let me answer that.
Sure, Bill.
We've already started, and Alan has been talking to Ozzie about it. The fact of the matter is, this is all going to be incorporated into the cartograph. The cartograph has the ability. We don't have the knowledge yet how to do it, but we bring in a consultant to show us. Actually, to attach pictures to all the work orders.
Have you checked with Randy? You might be surprised.
Well, go ahead. The thing is, we talked to Randy about it, and it takes a specialized deal, and we don't want to burden them any more than what they are. But this has the capability of putting the pictures with the work orders, with the different events, and actually a movie picture of the event too, of the project. We're moving forward with it, and we're trying to get the people in here to train our people to actually do it and put it together. But that is moving forward.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We'll move on to number 13, Ascension Drainage Funding Priorities, Part 4. Mr. Hillisbeck.
Oh, my leg.
5 minutes.
Mr. Lambert.
Mr. Valentine.
I'm going to call a point of order on this particular presentation. I think this council and this drainage board has been very lenient with Mr. Hillisbeck's presentation. Once again, we see it's the Ascension Drainage Funding Priorities, which is the same thing we've seen for the first 3 or 4. I think that essentially you should rule him out of order due to the fact that we make these presentations, there's no motion made. This issue has been discussed. We've already settled this discussion. We've already voted on this discussion. He's made motions that didn't get seconds on this discussion. And essentially it just takes up time for him to continue to talk about problems or what he sees as problems with other council members. I don't think any council member around this table has taken him to task. He's taken generally us to task. And when I say us, I've been personally attacked just like other members of this council on here for making decisions in the past. And so it serves no purpose for us to take up time dealing with this situation. So I'm going to ask for a decision from you on a point of order. He not be allowed to do that.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. Point of order.
I have a point of order by Mr. Valentine.
All right, I'd like to
Unless we
respond.
get the board's decision to move forward with this presentation, I'm going to move that we move forward with the next agenda item.
Mr. Chairman, may I please respond? There have been no vote.
According to rules of Robert's Rules of Order,
Right.
Mr.
Okay, well, I'll do my presentation on 21, where I'll sit down and do it there.
Okay.
Because there is some new information, George. I disagree with what you said. There have been no votes on any of these presentations. These have been strictly informational to the public. I am a councilman, just like you're a councilman. I have a right to inform the public, and I feel like we're stopping informing the public.
We're gonna move on, Mr. Hillensbeck. We did have a point of order. We're gonna move on to number 14.
Thank you.
Contract between Mr. Paul Keller and East Ascension Drainage Board.
You can pull that off the agenda.
Okay, we can pull it completely off.
Completely off.
Okay, gotcha. Got that on Ms. Heather? Done deal. We move on to number 15, report on contracting out work versus work done in-house. Mr. Kent Shakespeare.
Okay.
15 members.
Yeah, so we just looking at DPW and see where we are, if we have any further advances on looking into the possibility of contracting work, since we do have so many. We're being overwhelmed with jobs right now.
Councilman, we have looked into it, and I alluded to one project, which was riprap. We couldn't get anybody interested in it. We had a couple of inquiries, but that's all it went. For us, the doing drainage control, or at least the clearing, some grubbing and clearing inside the bayous with a larger shredder. After further investigation, after talking to some companies in Ascension Parish that does this for a living, they don't even recommend to take the big trees out, to do it with the underbrush, take that out, leave the big trees for canopy over the bayous, over the ditches, and also to retain the erosion. So taking that into consideration, our shredder can do just about everything that the bigger can do. And at the same point, we are talking to this company about helping us on some of that, but we're having a little problem with the scope of work and actually defining what we need for them to do so we can get a price. But we are talking to a local company, a station here in Parish, and we're trying to get some figures per foot on exactly what we need done. And we should have some more information at next meeting.
All right. Can you just keep us informed on that?
I will.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to number 17, Chairman's Report. After looking at some of the agendas and old business and new business, I'm going to take off the agenda. If anybody has something that they want to bring up that's important that meeting, we're going to have the 2/3 at the beginning of the meeting, just like the council does. We're getting too many things in old and new business that, we need to know a little bit more information for our DPW to come up with answers on it. So tonight we're going to use the old and new business, but tonight is the last night, and then from there on we're going to, because I have some people that's want to talk on the old and new business. So next meeting it will start with 2/3. Mr. Thompson.
I think we also should pull off all presentations off the agenda unless they're presented by the administration, because things that we should be discussing in committee, taking a lot of time discussing it in a meeting when we could be taking care of other business. So I also think we need to, all presentation need to come from the administration.
Mr. Barton.
Yes, the only thought with that, you say it needs to be taken up in committee. If that be the case, then we need to form a drainage board committee, because we do not have one now. So if we do that, we really need to form a committee. I have no opinion one way or the other, but if we do away with presentation, we need a committee.
So we'll look at that a little further.
It needs to be looked at.
Okay. So we will move on the old and new business starting next meeting. And make sure you put at the beginning of the agenda item of 2/3, same as the council. That was it on Chairman's report. We're going to move on to old business. I have some people in the audience that's going to speak. Mr. Brent Freder. And I think he might be speaking for Troy also. No? You going to, both of y'all speaking?
I'd like to request 3 minutes and allow 2 minutes for Mr. Carasio.
Okay. That's fine.
Yes, my name is Brett Frederick. I'm a resident of Seven Oaks. I spoke at the last drainage meeting, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. The information tonight relates to the railroad drainage ditch located behind Seven Oaks on the west side of Kansas City Railroad, KCS Railroad. On August 14th, Mr. Bill Rue of the Ascension Parish Drainage Department told the Ascension Parish Drainage Board as follows. Lester, will you please play the video?
Got a 30-second video.
We've been having
so
the
it's not
problems in Seven Oaks subdivision. We're trying to handle that. We have we need to, and we are going to clean the railroad ditch out on the backside of Seven Oaks subdivision. We need to, and we are going to clean the railroad ditch out on the backside of Seven Oaks subdivision.
That's fine. Okay, at that point, myself and Mr. Caracioli got up. We thanked Mr. Bill Rue. We told him we appreciate him doing that. Then, 3 days later, on August 17th, Mr. Alan Allred of the Ascension Drainage Department replied to Mr. Caracioli, my neighbor, and he told him in an email, "I'm not sure, but there must be some confusion. There is no work scheduled to clear the drainage ditch behind Seven Oaks." So we're very perplexed about what's going on here. So all we'd like here tonight is just a direct, complete answer about when the work is going to start and end, when we can expect to get that drainage ditch cleared out so we won't have a flooding issue. And also, Mr. Allred told my neighbor Troy that we're going to get a flap gate, and we'd like to know when we're going to get that as well. I'm going to allow my neighbor, Mr. Caracioli, to go over some drainage plans submitted by GWS Engineering on February 9th, 1998, and these plans have been stamped by civil engineer G. Wayne Sledge. And I'm going to allow Mr. Caracioli to discuss that, and I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Good evening. I have here two documents that clearly state what the plans were for the fourth filing in Seven Oaks. I also have a plan here that shows the notes taken on a survey for the direction of the drainage. On the plans also, it shows the direction of the drainage and the route it's supposed to take. That's what this survey shows here, and it shows quite clearly that it goes to Highway 61, which is what we've been asking for all along, rather than trying to reverse the grade and go to the north. And we'll very quickly show you some information on these drawings here. If I can get it up on the display. At this point right here, this is the pipe we're actually having the problem with, located right here, that drains into the ditch. If you can expand that a little bit, it'd be appreciated. These arrows here show the direction of flow. This is actually towards the south, the north arrow being up on most of your drawings. Okay. Okay, thanks. Great, that's good. Thank you. These arrows show that also this ditch here, which has the flow to the south, is also says right here in this note that's on the plans, existing ditch to be cleared and deepened. That's what we've been asking for all along from the beginning. That's our problem. This plan was produced and submitted in 1999. As per the date, I'm sorry, it was 1998, February 98. This was actually supposed to have been done when the fourth filing was developed, and it was not done. Further back here, we're going to see some extra supporting information regarding that. This plan has the north arrow going in the opposite direction, so I'm going to flip it over. This being south, these arrows again show the direction of flow through that ditch. It also shows the flow past that ditch and going south towards a 48-inch pipe, which we've been requesting that the ditch be cleared to. This survey done by GWS Engineering, interestingly enough, says Seven Oaks topographical for drainage along railroad tracks to US 61.
You got 1 minute, Mr. Troy.
It starts from the pipe that we're having the problem with and then works its way south. It doesn't go north. And again, the drainage department tried to go north to Muddy Creek, to Muddy Creek, rather than going south to Black Bayou. Now, while we see that going north towards Muddy Creek is a good idea because you can push the water off that direction, it's still reverse. It's in the reverse direction, and it's creating a great deal of problem for us in Seven Oaks. This plan, I'm not going to go through it all the way because the note basically says it all right here. You're supposed to go south with the water, not north.
I ask that we allow him an additional minute or two if he needs it. Make that motion.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Hillingsbeck, second by Mrs. Fontenot for an extra 2 minutes.
Basically, we're asking this. I'd like to ask the same question that Brent asked earlier. We'd like to get the water to flow as planned, as designed by a civil engineering group. This engineering group has designed many plans for many subdivisions and has done a very good job of it. I don't understand why the plan was not followed. I'd like to know why it wasn't followed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Shakes now.
I just, y'all going to take care of that, Bill?
Yes, right. And this is something I think we need to sit down with the property owners. A lot of the work was done. Other issues came up that wasn't mentioned, and I don't want to get into debate.
Yeah.
Very good reasons why we didn't proceed any further right now, and we'll be glad to set up an appointment next week with these people and discuss the matter.
Please do that, because there may have been some new information that has come up since this time that we're not privy to.
Mr. Caraccioli, is that, am I pronouncing it correct? Yeah, Caraccioli, you made an excellent statement.
Yes, sir.
Why wasn't the plan followed?
That's correct, sir. All we've been asking for is that the normal outflow of water be restored per the design.
Right.
That's all we've been asking for.
Let me tell you why. It's just like we're about to build a levee. It's been millions of taxpayers' dollars. That is not in the plan.
That's not
That
the
is
agenda
not
item.
in the plan.
What's not
Point of order.
The levee.
Thank you. Situation.
So anything this board does, it doesn't surprise me one bit. We are about to build a levee. It's
Point of
not
order,
in the
Mr.
plan.
Hillingsbeck. Mr. Savoy.
Yeah. Mr. Troy, you shared more information with me prior to the meeting.
Yes, sir.
You need to share that with Bill, and in y'all's meeting next week, and you come up with something, you need to share your outcome with me. If you understand?
Sure.
I don't want to discuss. I don't want to go into discussion with it. There's been an issue there since
The only
years
thing
and years. And
I would suggest we'll welcome any participation by the selected members of the chairman of the board that want to attend the meeting with us, so we can discuss that with a couple yourself and maybe
Mrs. Fontenot's in her district. Ms. Savoy, you would like to be there to meet?
That's what I wanted to say.
I'm working a lot right now.
We encourage.
I just need to know what the outcome.
We encourage
Bill, I'd like to be there
some of
also,
the council
so
members
let
being there
myself know.
so they can see what we're talking about
And what happened years ago.
and what's happening
That
now
type of
and
stuff.
what's actually occurred.
So just notify Mrs. Fontenot and myself.
Yes, absolutely. I want to be included in these meetings. Thank you.
Okay, any more old business?
You got to go into executive session in old business on that.
Yeah, I got it. Is it old or new?
We have to vote, 2/3 vote to go into executive session.
That's old or new? I put it behind you. You want to go with old? Okay. Kent, you got something else?
Well, just what we had talked about is the ability to look at the Lilly situation and give him the freedom to take care of
Yeah, I
it.
think you wanted to vote on that. I think we had a motion by Mr. Schex, now a second by Mr. Thompson to move forward with that Lilly cleaning. Any objection? So moved. Next item would be the executive session for the bulkhead repair, Black Bayou and Savoy. Move. Mr. Thompson.
Yes, I would like for you all to put on go to the bridge committee. Dora Jackson Bridge. Right now they're driving on the servitude to get to their house, so I need that to go to the bridge committee. Okay. And let me know the date of the meeting.
Motion for executive session, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, we need a vote on that 2/3. Did I hear a motion?
Motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Thompson. Second by Mr. Byer. Got to go in executive session. Any objection? So move.
Very good appointment for last week.
did call it. I did tell you. What?
When I get enough, I gotta get enough. It's not enough. Yeah, that's how I'm getting it. I'm bringing it there. When I get enough, I'll designate a track over and do it. But I need to get enough there. It's just all most of it's on the other end right now. It's not nearby enough. Yeah, it's strictly when we're getting right now. We're doing a big job right now, like you said on Henderson, Bayou Francois. We're setting it stone that's actually moving off. But that's the same crew line setting it too, as soon as you get enough material in there. Right. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Well, you know, they actually got stuff called promoter release. It's like yeah. Right. Well, I'm really not into the weed control part of it. Vinny is. That's the first that's actually. I mean, I'll refer it over to him, but he is the weed control person. He'll have it if you're up here. Bluegrass, it'll take over. It'll come up and fix stuff. Right. Well, like I say, I'm gonna get it on for next. I'll request that again to do whatever. Take care of the trees for you right there. I will. I'm not in the control at all. Right. Right. Well, actually, he didn't want me to go over there where they put a lot of concrete. So big hole there right now. This is bloodweed. I saw. I was saying, I can't tell you. Another solid bloodweed all around where his ponds. And well, where he's talking. No, the other way. On the other way up towards where his pond is out into it. Yeah, they put a lot of concrete back there. What do you see? An area I told my kids, think about this concrete that right. It can do it. It can, but it's a broad. We're not going to be going. That's what I'm saying. I got some serious jobs in this thing to do that they haven't, been around Central Parish. Just down there by Pelican Point. They got brand new houses. I know. They got pictures of their house that hasn't been cut for 4 years. And snakes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, a motion to reconvene. Got a motion by Mr. Sowell, second by Mr. Byer to reconvene. Basically, just got an update on the bulkheads. Nothing moved on. We're gonna move on to any more old business before we move off of this one. We're gonna move on to new business. I got somebody in the audience, was in the audience. I see he might not, Mr. Chester Allred. He left. We'll pass on that. Any more?
Motion adjourned.
Got a motion adjourned by Mr. Barger, second by Mr. Shakespeare. Any objections? So moved.
You got it.
All right, buddy.